doesn't happen very often in early March. Yeah, it's been really cold out there otherwise. Yes. Yeah. In February paid us back.
Good morning. I think we'll call the meeting of the Joint Antelope Valley Authority Board to order here on March 12th, 2015. There is in the back of the room, in the meeting room, a copy of the Public Meetings Law, if you wish to refer to that at some point during the meeting. There's also copies of the agenda here at the front of the meeting hall. Let's see, if we've got the agenda in front of us. If during the meeting you wish to appear on an agenda item, as that agenda item is brought forward, please come up to the microphones in the front, introduce yourself, and you'll have 5 minutes to make your comments. At that point, at the end of the meeting, there is an opportunity for speaking on non-agenda items, and the same procedure will be followed there. So, Amy, would you call the roll, please?
Johnson?
Present.
Jackson?
Present.
Esposito?
Present.
Okay. The first item of business we have is the approval of the minutes from the September 11th, 2014 board meeting, and those minutes were distributed. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, a motion is second. Any discussion? Any public comments? Seeing none, Amy, would you call the roll?
Johnson?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Esposito?
Yes.
Okay, motion is adopted. Next item is presentation of the Java financials. Good morning.
Morning. Kurt Masick with HBE, Becker Meyer Love, in the last year. And you've been presented the financial statements for the year ended August 31st of 2014. And I can be probably pretty brief because there wasn't a lot of financial action comparatively to prior years. For your purposes, I'm going to make reference on page 3, which is the balance sheet of the Joint Antelope Valley Authority. And what to note the most there is the difference in the capital assets. That difference from 2013 to 2014 is $420,850, and that was the amount of capital expenditures then for the projects during that fiscal period of August 31st of 2014, which really the major ones were the North-South Road for Q to K for $135,956, South Street Bridge Project, $168,187, and then Union Plaza, $71,238. And those were the major amount of capital expenditures for this fiscal year.
I'm not sure we're tracking exactly where you're at.
This is from
Oh,
notes.
okay.
I'm sorry, I'm giving
Okay.
you notes on my own.
Okay,
there,
great.
just to make up that 420.
Thank you.
And then on the next page, which is page 4, just gives the operating results of the administration of the Joint Antelope Valley Authority for the 2 years. And again, you can see that the amount of operating expenses for 2014 is now $31,088. The year before that, it was $136,000 approximately. So you can see how it's dwindling down now as it gets close to the end of the entity's existence even. So those are the basic financial things to report for this year. Is it just kind of shows how things are starting to wind down. So, and any questions, I'd certainly entertain them for you.
Any questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Brand, did you have anything to present at this point? Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the Java Chair to sign the certificate of completion for subphase projects of the waterway and roadway and distribution of remaining funds.
Are you ready?
Yes.
So, we're at that point where we're talking about completion certificates. I did make a copy for the board members. This is not a new process. We had this in the original administrative resolution in 2000. The certificate of completion process has been used once before at the Northeast Community Park. I think that was requested jointly by all the parties, primarily because that was a key to making sure we got the recreation fields relocated. So that was early on in the project. What we have now is another request to make sure that job is complete with projects. So we have before you a resolution, which was the lawyer's attempt to break down kind of how the project evolved. So what I've done is hopefully use project numbers, because that's the easiest thing for everybody to track, and by everybody I mean mostly the accountants. But I think there was a practice for us to use a numbering convention where the city CIP number corresponded with one numeral difference to the Java number, so I've included those. Where there's state funding, they had a state number and a control number. So I've tried to include those, and that's in the version of the resolution that has the red detail. If I got that completely wrong, I do have a fallback that takes out that detail. So, but I think the one thing I wanted to point out, and gives you probably the best example, the roadway, when we conceived of it, the north-south roadway, was two projects in 2000. When it actually went to the bid package, it was all combined. And that happened in a number of instances, and where things lined up between where we thought they would be in 2000 and where the bid packages actually were completed. This tries to take some stab at correlating that. But I think the real thing that we're asking you to do today is, as a board with the sponsor partners, say these things are done. And that has to factor in a number of things. You'll see in the thing that I passed out, it means that we can use, they may reasonably use for their intended purposes. So that's all phases of the project there. The transportation components, the waterway components, and also the community revitalization components, which we don't want to forget because those were a big part of this project. So what I've done for you and laid these out, you'll notice there's a subparagraph 1, and then all of a sudden I start using 3.1 as subparagraphs. The reason for that, and I pointed that out in the language in the text, those are referring back to the Java administrative agreements. So when we got together in 2000, all three parties said, here's what Java is responsible for. And this is the language actually used in the interlocal agreement and the administrative agreements related to each of these components of the project. That first one, the university-related responsibilities, those all happened almost before everything got started. They were transfers of land and some things to do with stuff that got in the way, literally, of the project. So there's not a lot of detail on that, but that happened early on. 3.2 is kind of the administrative components of this, and it's the obligation Java undertook effectively to construct the projects and do the community revitalization coordination. So that's a bit of a catch-all. But from 3.3 to 3.11, that's the guts of the project, as the administrative agreements called it out. And again, the detail that you see in the red, that really is trying to track how those landed with the cost objects that the accountants were using to track funding. May not be perfect, but I think the main question before us today is, with the request to say we're done, we'll have details as we get a certificate of completion. I think we're going to combine a number of things so there isn't a certificate of completion for each little sub-project or bid package. But it will try and correlate, especially where we need to track funds that are to be returned to the sponsoring agency. And so that's the big part of paragraph 2 there, the return of funds back to the contributing source. So what this resolution authorizes is for the project manager and the legal counsel to work with your chair to get the details of the certificate of completion done. And I realize this is no small thing that we're asking. We're effectively taking the initial steps to begin winding down Java. And this is a good step in that respect. The Java Administrative Board, as you're officially known as, has a role in saying these are done, they're suitable for their intended purposes, and we're complete. So that's the completion certificate. I did underline that little piece that the party's administrator, who requested the certificate of completion, does accept it as well. So, for example, in paragraph 2, where we're preparing the certificate of completion related to the transportation projects, the mayor will then be able to accept that.
Okay.
Any questions, concerns?
Questions? So we have before us a resolution,
You do.
and that would initiate that closeout procedure.
Yeah, and the next step will be, we'll get certificates of completion that will look like the Northeast Community Park. Some of them may refer to lands transfer. That one was a little different. We were still dealing with meets and bounds. It was before the replat. So most of the property transfers are already done.
Right.
And the deeds already have happened. So we could just have a sentence in the certificate of completion that the replat has taken care of that component of it. So the deeds are done. Most of that property is transferred. There's, I think, 6 tracts that we've identified that we may have to come back to the board and make sure those land where they ought to, but they're still held in title by the Joint Antelope Valley Authority. And so we'll need to keep track, but not at this meeting. So, but the formal paperwork will come to the chairperson, Glenn, with the details, and then tracking these funds and the completion of the transportation projects, and then if we need to, others as well. So we can, tell folks looking over our shoulder, Java Board has looked at this, and we've completed the project.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Okay?
Thank you, Joel.
Would you repeat what the action needed today then is, Joe?
To approve the resolution, which is on your agenda item as number 4, including the detail.
Okay. Okay.
Do we take public
I would
comment?
entertain
Do we have public comment?
we'll take a motion.
Gotcha,
first.
okay.
Well,
Well, I would move to approve the resolution authorizing the Java Chair to sign the certificate of completion for these projects.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, a motion is second. Any discussion? Any public comment? If not, Amy, would you call the roll? Johnson? Yes.
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 Okay, motion is adopted. I'll get my pen ready, Joel.
Yes, exciting.
The staff reports?
Good morning, Chris Humphrey, Antelope Valley Project Manager. As you're aware, we don't really have any physical construction activities right now. We have submitted the final documents, all the construction documents for the KDQ project, which also includes O Street from about 17th to 21st Street. Those have been submitted to them. NUR is in the process of reviewing them, and then once they are satisfied with the documents, then it'll go over to their audit section for the final audit on that project. We have not submitted the South Street project, but that should be coming. We'll submit that to them likely within the next few months. We're still working on some issues with NDOR and FHWA on that project, but we're excited to get everything turned in and wrap everything up.
Okay. Any questions of Chris?
Great job, Chris, on the
Thank you.
projects.
Thank you. Citizens Committee report. I'm not aware that they have met. Any comments from the public on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we do need to talk about going into a closed session to discuss litigation strategy related to the South Street project. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session for that purpose, and that
So
purpose
moved.
specifically.
Seconded.
Second? A motion is second. Any discussion? Okay, please call the roll. Johnson? Yes.
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 Okay. Motion is adopted. We will go. Okay, I would entertain a motion to return to open session.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion is second to return to open session. Any discussion? Amy, please call the roll. Yes.
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 Okay, thank you. While we were in session, we discussed litigation and action pending potential before us would be a resolution authorizing the Java chair to sign a settlement agreement with Judd's Brothers Construction Company on the Antelope Valley South Street Bridge project for a final settlement. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Any public comment? Seeing none, Amy, would you call the roll? Johnson? Yes.
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 Okay, and the motion is adopted. With that, that completes our business for the meeting, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.